Hey, Allison Verhalen here, coming at you live for today's Marketing Monday. I'm going to call this because it's Monday. And today I want to talk to you about the difference between marketing strategies, specifically content marketing strategies, versus tactics. I see those two words, strategy and tactics, getting bandied about a lot interchangeably. People talk about strategies when they really mean tactics. And like I said, I've been seeing this a lot. I've also been hearing other marketers complain about this. So I thought this would be a good time to talk about the difference between a strategy versus a tactic, right? So strategy is the long game. If you think about a chess game, which on a personal note, I hate chess. My dad always loved it. He taught me to play as a kid. I think he even signed me up for chess club. I didn't even last the year. I was so bored. I was bored to tears. So that did not last. I no longer remember much of anything about chess. But what I do know, thanks to movies, is that a good chess player can see like 5 or 6 steps ahead, right? Or plays ahead. They're not just thinking about their next move. They're thinking about, well, if I make this move, they might make this move, or maybe they make that move, and then I'll make this move over here. Or alternatively, going back to the first move, maybe I move this over here, and then they would do this, and then I would do such and such. So they are not just thinking about the next step. Tactics are about the next step. Strategy is about the next 8 steps, right? We're always thinking about people who they're always ahead. They're always winning because they're always 10 steps ahead of the competition, right? So we're going to talk about 10 steps, even though I don't think anyone can think 10 steps ahead in a chess game. But again, I'm not a chess player. What do I know? So the point is strategies, long term, tactics, short term. And then the goal is winning the game, right? The goal is whatever goal you set for yourself, whether it's getting a certain revenue goal and a certain number of clients, a certain number of social media followers, although I would put social media under strategy rather than goal, but that's a conversation for a different video. So I wanted to break down some common content marketing strategies and some common tactics now that we know kind of a general definition of strategy versus tactic. So first up, content marketing strategies, defining your market positioning. So there almost no one is like the only person or the only company out there providing the product or service they provide. We all have other people out there providing products and or services that are at least similar to what we provide, even if they're not exactly the same, right? We all have competitors in one form or another. So what makes you different? What is it about what you're providing that no one else can get? This is where branding comes in. Identifying your target audience. This is also part of defining your market position, right? So there are a lot of copywriters out there. There are copywriters that serve health and wellness people, copywriters or content marketers that serve other marketers. And there are content marketers like me who serve attorneys and financial planners. That's my sweet spot, right? That's my niche. Not that I'm not interested in those other people, but that's not my target audience. I'm really focusing in on the people that I know I can help the most. So who is that for you? And again, get really specific, not just their job title. I gave you their job title, right? But also their income bracket, their psychographics. What language do they use? What keeps them up at night? What are the burning problems they're trying to deal with that you can help solve for them? Know all of that when you're creating your marketing personas, creating your content marketing strategy. This means is a strategy, right? This means determining the types of content you'll create, where you'll publish and distribute those pieces of content to make sure they get in front of your audience. So for example, I'm on LinkedIn a lot because I know that's where, actually this leads nicely into my next topic, which is determining tactics. So we know what the tactics are. They're supporting the strategy, but part of strategy is determining which tactics are going to get you where you want to go. And this is where I had my example about LinkedIn. Obviously, I'm here on YouTube, but I was just live on LinkedIn an hour ago because I know LinkedIn is where my people are. So that was a strategic decision to say, I'm going to be LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm going to distribute my content there. I'm going to create content just for LinkedIn. That is where my people are. That is something I'm focusing on now. Actually going ahead and creating that schedule and getting on LinkedIn and doing the posting and doing all the stuff I need to do on LinkedIn, beefing up my profile, all that good stuff. Those are all tactics. That the decision to focus on LinkedIn over any of the other, and again, I am on other social media channels, but I'm not on TikTok, for example, right? That was a strategic decision. So determining which tactics you're going to use, that goes under strategy. And then reviewing your data. Reviewing your data is so important. I say this all the time, and it cannot be said enough. You have to review your data. Sorry, there was a bird outside my window, so I was distracted. He wanted to know about content marketing strategy versus tactics too, apparently. So reviewing data will tell you if you're not reviewing your data. I always compare that to, we always think about the bullseye as the target, right? So you can shoot that bow and arrow and then just not even look to see if you hit the target, right? You're just going to walk away from it. That is what it's like to create content and do marketing without actually looking at the data. So look at your data. That will tell you whether or not you need to adjust certain tactics. If certain tactics are working for you, are your people really on LinkedIn or are they on somewhere else? If you're diversifying your social media, which you should, then see, are you really getting the most traction on the platform you thought you would, or are you actually starting to get some traction on a different platform? And maybe that needs a bigger investment from you. Look at the data. That will tell you everything you need to know. Some common content marketing tactics, creating your brand voice guidelines, right? So once you've done all the research, you know how you want to position your brand, you know who you're trying to attract. Now we have to get into the nitty gritty and be like, okay, what does that look like from a content perspective? So brand voice guidelines, hopefully around the same time you're doing your brand voice guidelines, you would also be creating your logo or maybe refreshing your logo, your website, your images, determining your brand colors, your brand font or fonts. All that good stuff needs to happen at around the same time, because this is all about how are you going to make people feel the way you want them to feel about you, right? You already determined how you want them to feel about you in strategy. Now we're in tactics. We're thinking about how we're going to achieve that. And then creating your content calendar, right? So you've got your content strategy, you know the types of content you're creating, where you're going to be publishing and distributing that content. Now you have to actually create that calendar. What topics are you covering? When will you be publishing them? What is the plan for distributing and promoting that content? And then obviously actually creating the content, optimizing it, editing it, getting it out into the world. All of that is also falls under the category of tactics. So that is it. If you have any other questions, you know where to find me. I'm here on YouTube a fair amount. I'm also, you can read more about this on my blog over at AV, as in my initials, Allison Verhalen, over at avwritingservices.com. That's it. Have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.